Salutations. I hope everybody is doing well. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a little perturbed. I'm actually watching my own live stream on another video because when I was going to use this other device and hold on. What is going on? Why is it doing that? Hang on. I'm just trying to see if this is actually going live because I'm not seeing it on the other device. It says it's scheduled, but it's not showing me anything. This is bothering me, I'm not gonna lie. For everyone that says I'm paranoid about being monitored or whatever. I bought a new device in my name. I didn't buy it. I'm renting it, of course. Because this other one was paid off and I wanted, to take more responsibility back for my own life. And I don't like that I'm not able to see it. That's bothering me. There we go. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So it's kind of live. All right. It wasn't actually showing a schedule on there. I was going to use that device just to see how it streamed, if it was any better, the connection was any better, because I would like to stream live again, like as I walk and talk when I go down to the lake, and I'm not sure how the connection will be. So I wanted to check a few things on that device because it's an Apple and I've always used a Samsung. For my tech friends, I know there are techie people that watch this. And they're always giving me tips, and I'm grateful for that because I've been out of the tech world for a little bit, although templates and foundations of systems or how they make systems, OS systems, IT systems, intranets, those things remain the same. So I'm usually able to figure things out after I mess with it for a while, but it's the messing with it part that becomes irritating. What you're looking at is a image from the Hopi prophecy that we're going to take a look at. Now, we've talked about it in brief on this channel. I think we talked about it more on the other channel, the original channel. However, there are things that apply, and again, my goal is to show that mankind, we have more things in common than we have different. And I know even quote unquote the good guys are telling you that you're different than these people, that you need to stay away from just all these different things, right? There's enough of that. I'm not saying that there isn't truth there. However, we are all here, and for some reason we were placed together, and God is allowing this to happen. So that's the first reason I teach on consent. The second thing is I shared that Ryan Garcia video yesterday because he says what I've been telling you. I was given clues about what they were going to do to me. They have to put it in front of you, because if you don't resist, if you don't say, I do not consent, which I do not, unless the Most High God, His will be done and not my own. Sorry. Well, actually, I'm not sorry, so I won't say that. I am sorry, but not for that. Anyways, Ryan Garcia pointed out that they do this, that they put these things in front of us, and we have to figure it out. Now, the thing is they use this like, it's all subliminal, and most of it is backwards or inverted. So by the time you recognize, by the time your brain registers what's actually happening, oftentimes it's almost too late. And this is also why I expose things, but not people usually, is because when you expose their plots or their plans or their ploys, they hate exposure. There's nothing they hate more than exposure. And when I say they, I'm talking about beings that have anti-human agendas, anti-mankind, beings that are anti-life, anti-love, destructive, right? And I know that they're the yin and the yang. There has to be destruction for there to be a new birth. But that doesn't mean that we have to participate or be a part in that. And because things like that are happening, in order to keep things balanced, I believe those of us who recognize our spirits and the spiritual implications of all this need to shine and sharpen, hone our spirits and our spiritual abilities even more to balance the darkness out a bit. I hope that makes sense. I know the videos are getting more views, although they are getting less likes percentage-wise. And of course, that's disconcerting. I'm not going to say that it's not, but I understand some of the reasoning behind it. But I also understand I have a lot of people that really dislike me who watch my videos. So why you'd waste your time watching, I don't know, but that's also why I tell you I love you, I pray for you, and I try to share the gospel with you in ways that are user friendly. People who don't read the Bible don't really, when you say the Bible says, they shut down. They're not listening to that. Much like you see that news anchor meme being used everywhere where she's like, I just don't care. They don't care. But some of them do have some type of moral compass and believe in natural law. People who are unbelievers, when I say them in that case. But when I talk about they, the ones against us, we have a common enemy, and that's why I'm trying to point out our commonalities. Point being, most groups of people, right? Most tribes at this point have received warnings about cyclical energies and cyclical events that take place upon the earth. However, we have to remember that it's not just a system we live in. It's not a, it is different than us. God is obviously different than us, but God has been here and gone through it with us. The system itself is not, quote unquote, alive. The earth is, right? But the system, the way things operate, God's system, Satan's system, those things are not knowing sentient entities, right? They are processes and routines that were put in place to operate on their own so they wouldn't need anyone else, right? But when we can grasp the cyclical events, but it's not just that. The Most High, whoever created this, could stop those. They become cyclical, I believe, because we get too far from the natural way of doing things. And when I say natural, I don't mean living barefoot on the dirt and pregnant and no electricity, although that is very appealing to me at this time. Um, that's not what I mean, for everybody or whatever. I'm not trying to tell people how to live. Those of us who are doing this are simply trying to shake people awake. And sometimes it's dangerous to wake sleepwalkers, but I think in this time, as close as we are to the possibility of things happening, we need to pay attention and we need to be vigilant, and it's best to be sober in these times. So the book of Revelation has a lot in common with the end times in the Quran, right? The book of Revelation also has a lot in common with the Hopi prophecies. Now, I like to touch upon the Hopi prophecies because I believe the Native Americans were closer to nature and the natural way of doing things, natural law, than those of us who live and are born into this system, right? Their reservations, their land is still set apart for them, and it is not as built up as ours, the ones who stayed. Now, you've got the other ones who, and I'm not even going to make the comparison because I don't, who might be the true Jews who own the casinos, have a lot of money, and control things, especially in Las Vegas, Sin City, which I believe it is a mockery of the holy city. And I have good reason to believe that Joshua Tree stands for Yeshua's tree. Joshua, the J would be silent. It would sound like Yeshua, Joshua, Yahshua, Jesus, in Latin, Jesus, okay? Jesus. Anyways, moving on. I get a little passionate about this. I apologize. So I want to talk real quick about a dream that I had. I don't know if it has any significance. I'm simply going to relay it to you because I don't remember all of my dreams, but most of them I do remember. And I would like to just speak on this because a lot of people are. I'm not the only one who does this, all right? And if you understand the language and the verbiage, I would appreciate the thumbs up just so I know if I'm going in the right direction in how I speak here to people, all right? Okay, now what is the next thing that I was going to go over? The dream. Well, okay, so should I just read it from my journal? Maybe it'll be easier that way. It might because I have a couple verses here. This one left a lasting impression upon me. That's why I'm talking about it. And when I get these dreams that are put on my heart that I feel like I need to talk about with somebody, they almost are like breaking news in my dreams. Like, I will go from like a basic, regular, off the wall dream to all of a sudden being lucid and having like this scene occur in front of me, like I'm watching it happen, but I'm not in it. Okay. I've also been the observer of my dream and I've been in it at the same time, and that is very strange. I'm not sure what that's about, but if anyone else has those experiences, I'm really interested in talking to you about your dreams, because I think they are more than we have been told. And there's a lot of gaslighters. We're going to get people who say, oh, you're this, you're that, you're not, you're crazy, you're mentally ill, you need to be on meds, all these things. They want everybody on medication. But where's the standard? Where does that standard lie? To me, it's crazy to say that God doesn't exist, right? If you look around, I did not create myself. I did not create my body myself. The trees, the sun, the stars, the moon are so much bigger than us. We could not possibly do that ourselves. So yeah, to me, it's crazy that people don't believe. And then we're told not to talk about medical issues. We're not physicians, but they can come on every single video and gaslight you and tell you how you need to take meds. It's not good the way we're treating each other, especially on social media with the screens in between us and the keyboards at our fingers when we're not thinking before we're speaking. I know this from experience for my own self and my own walk. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about this real quick. I don't know that it's prophetic, but it felt like it was important. So in this scene, I was looking at a sky, right? It was huge. I was just looking at a scene in front of me, almost like you see when people go to the NASCARs and the planes drive by on TV and whatnot. I've never been there, but I've seen it on television, of course. But I've seen jets fly by, and you know that I said millions of ages ago that there was a deception happening with planes, that either people weren't actually flying who said they were, or it's pretty much just the enemy's people who are allowed in planes. Freemasons fly the planes. They are also men in black. You have the men in black that show up after UFO sightings. You have the men in black who are FBI agents. You have the men in black who are Mormon missionaries who are really into DNA. Okay? All of these things are connected. Mankind, some of them are operating and functioning and working with the fallen ones, the aliens, the evil, non-benevolent, malevolent, dark entities, little grays, whatever you call them. I don't personally care. So I think our dreams are more important than we've been led to believe. So in this dream, real quick, there was a bright orange sky and there were jets flying by. Haven't seen many jets here, and I live where they used to fly by like every 10 seconds because I live near a base and a couple of airports. I live in a basically rural area, but these things are around me within an hour's drive. So there used to be a lot of planes going by. So I'm seeing these planes and I'm like, wow, there's planes again, and they're flying by really fast and it looked really crisp, right? I could see very well, even though they were pretty high up there. And it was a beautiful sky, but it was like burnt orange, right? And then something went into like slow motion, and as the planes left behind them, not trailing them, almost just like the planes flying by, that their streams were hiding something behind them further away from us on the horizon, not up, just further away, vision-wise. As they flew by, they started to go in slow motion. And when this happened, these things that were behind them, I realized they were stars, and the stars started falling from the sky. If you've never had a dream like that, I don't have, most of my dreams mean something, but most of them, a lot of them are for me. Even some that are prophetic are for me. I still haven't said what I know is possibly my purpose and what is going to happen. I don't want to speak, negatively or whatever, but I have written certain things down. Anyways, so the stars were falling from the sky. First, it was just a few behind those planes, and then I looked up, and there were more falling from the sky. So in Mark 13:25, if we go over here, Let me do a quick search. Oops. Typo queen. There we go. Mark 13:25. And the stars of heaven will be falling down, and the powers that are in heaven will be moved. And then they shall see the Son of Man arriving on the clouds with great power and glory. And then he will send his angels. This to me is rapture, not Thessalonians. And then he will send his angels and gather together his elect from the four winds, north, south, east, and west, from the limits of the earth to the limits of the heaven. Now that originally says corners. I have the Catholic one, right? And let me compare it to the other there we go. From the four winds. Yeah, in actual Bible, it says four corners. Okay, there it is. He will send the angels out to the four corners of the earth to gather God's chosen people, the elect, from one end of the world to the other. Okay. Let's get out of there. Okay. And what other ones have that? Revelation 6:13. What comes right before that, though? And when he had opened the sixth seal, I saw, and behold, a great earthquake occurred, and the sun became black, like a haircloth sack, and the entire moon became like blood. That sounds like an eclipse. It sounds like the earthquake is directly prior to the eclipse. Now, the other day I showed you somebody else's research, several people's research, that shows how these correlate with earthquakes. I'm not an expert. I'm not here to feed you doom and gloom. I'm not here to even tell you to be a prepper. I'm here to help you prep your soul, which includes your body, your heart, or your mind, your spirit, and your body. All three of those things conform to your soul. That's why what you do with your body affects your spiritual walk. Okay? That's why some things that you consume or put in your body blind you. Again, if you understand the verbiage, please consider giving the video a thumbs up. So after that comes, and the stars fall from heaven fell upon the earth, just like as when a fig tree shaken by a great wind drops its immature figs. Now it says, and the stars. So all these, it doesn't say then or next. All these things are kind of happening coincidentally, like at the same time in different ways or places, or however you want to determine that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So after all that comes the sky being rolled up by a scroll. And what I think of then is if you ever saw Spaceballs and you saw the Princess Leia, Daphne Zuniga, the knockoff, flying. She wanted to escape. She was running away, and the firmament opened for her. There was like a sliding glass thing. So yeah, that's what that reminds me of. And every mountain and the islands were moved from their place. I'm questioning what earthquakes actually are. Why would all these people build bunkers underground if they are what they say they are? I'm really starting to wonder if they're caused. I mean, the orders, the directives come from God, but I'm wondering if they are caused by some type of giant beings. Because if you look at the mountains, and we'll do this, who's the guy that teaches on this? Mud Fossil? Is that his name? He teaches on this, and he's amazing. If you've never seen his channel, his mannerisms and his attitude can be a little overbearing at times. And I'm just telling you that in case you go there, I don't want to, why'd you refer me to that channel? But he's very wise. He has a lot of information. And I thought this when I was a kid. My dad asked, what do you think of those big mountains? And I said, I think that they look like dinosaurs that laid down and went asleep, or giants. And if you have aerial views, you can actually see the tops of certain mountains and hills and whatnot really look like beings. They look like giant humans. I don't know how else to say it. So anyways, is there any more that relate to this? Revelation 6:13, 24 and 25. Oh, Jude 13 also. Now it says, and now pay attention to this. In those days after that tribulation, Okay, so is it saying after that as in next, or but in those days after that tribulate, after that should there be a comma there, right? But in those days after that, like above what happens here, after this comes the tribulation. So, you really got to compare and study. But in those days following that distress, but in those days after that tribulation. So it's very possible we are in the tribulation right now. These are the 7 years, and next comes judgment, which is not fun to look forward to. I know this is not a great topic to cover, and some people will say, well, you only live once, go and do what you're going to do now, hurry up, get it done, this, that, and the other. No, don't do that, please. You have an eternal soul that is going to either be refined and perfected and brought to God's glory yourself. Theosis means union with God. So we literally are little g gods. I don't believe in the new age thing, though, that we're supposed to go back to source. I don't think we come here for no reason. It's an evolutionary process. Going backwards, I don't believe is something a creator would do, just like I don't believe a creator would instill reincarnation. Well, what if you failed the first time? That's not the point. The point is if you have forgotten everything you learned, you're going to make those same mistakes again because you still have the same nature, right? And you don't know, you don't remember that you've already learned that lesson. So chances are, because you are who you are, you're going to make them same mistakes. That to me is not a most high godly system either. That is somebody who likes to pretend that he is God, or beings that like to take charge of their own destiny. And I can't quibble with that. People, we are given free will for a very specific purpose, and it is to use that free will to make choices, right? But we have to live with those choices. The best thing we can do in this time is to do no harm and to do as much good as we possibly can. There is no law against love. I don't care if you're picking up litter. I don't care if you're taking your neighbor dinner or cookies or cupcakes. It doesn't matter, right? Get into the habit, because what if something does happen and then we're surrounded by all these people that we don't know and we've made enemies of? And I know how that feels. I'm living that. This is why my tale is a cautionary tale, and this is why I speak on this so very often. So, but in those days after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give her splendor. Some people think that there is a 3-day period of darkness. I did a video on this. It was a very good video. And of course, it was one of the ones that was not saved in my Google, but the important ones seem to be gone. That's why I had to redo those anyways. Regardless, we'll go over that probably after we do the Hopi, and I might just upload it because it's not super long. But it's very possible that after this eclipse, there will be 3 days of darkness, not just 3 minutes, like we're being told, but 3 days. And let me show you this. So here we go, and I'm gonna go through a few things here. Hopefully I won't dox myself too bad. Okay, so this is the first one. IFL Science. Stock up on food, water, and fuel ahead of the eclipse, emergency officials warn. Cell phone service could be a problem too. Always read the fine print. You see how tiny that is right there? Cell phone service could be a problem too. Like, come on, man. So here we go. Lorain County, which again, this is Ohio. This is where I am. That's not the county I'm in though. Have issued a warning to eclipse watchers and locals to the path of totality to stock up on food, water, and fuel ahead of the total eclipse on April 8th, with an influx of visitors to the area expected. Now that's normal, right? You're going to have a bunch of vacationers, a bunch of tourists. You're going to have a population basically that's higher than normal. So it is going to take a toll on your resources, on your gas in that area, because mostly vendors will only order what they need. This is why managers take inventory every week. They need to know how much is being consumed and how much they're using so they know if they should order less or more. Usually, they only have enough for what they're doing, for what they plan on doing, right? So hope everybody has already been planning for this, and let's look at this because this is wild. The last total eclipse over the U.S. was pretty spectacular. Okay. If we're lucky, the weather is fine. We could be in for something special because this eclipse coincides with the solar maximum. In 2017, the sun was nearing a solar minimum. Viewers of the total eclipse could see the breathtaking corona, but since the sun was quiet, streamers flowing into the solar atmosphere were restricted to just the equatorial regions of the star. The sun is more magnetically symmetrical during solar minimum. So it's more magnetically symmetrical. So does this mean it's going to be, what this means, okay, is, do you see the picture here? I'm going to summarize this for you because it gets technical. See that picture? Basically, this eclipse that's coming, you're going to see the little flyaways more. It's not going to be as clean around the edge. You actually might see solar flares if you're looking at it, and other things looking like little worms, basically, flying out of the edge, okay? Which, again, is wild. I'm not going to watch it. I would love to. I would love to see it. But I've had enough warnings about this. I'm not going to watch it. I'm probably going to unplug my devices, turn them off, and have some quiet meditation time if that's possible. So yeah, that's my plan. If anyone cares, what are your plans? Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, so basically the sun was quiet, so we did not see these things. During the 2024 eclipse, it will be a maximum. Streamers will likely be visible throughout the corona. In addition to that, viewers will have a better chance to see prominences, which appear as bright pink curls or loops coming off of the sun. So it tells you how far it's going to go. With lucky timing, there could even be a chance to see a CME, a coronal mass ejection. Now, what a CME is, that can cause interference with the grid, if you're somebody who pays attention to these things. We had an event, was it called the Carrington event? Almost 100 years ago. We'll look at that right quick when we get out of here. So they have a warning. There's going to be increased traffic, all these things. Hello. That does not go around. According to the Bible, the earth sits on the pillars. Yeah, I believe that too. Again, these things are cyclical, though they are warnings, because I believe our behavior is cyclical. Mankind gets to a certain point where we are debased, right? We are Sodom, and we are Babylon right now and Sodom at the same time, America for sure. And so I also agree with you on how the universe is set up, right? But they're going to blame things that occur on the sun. They will use science to hide God, even the bad things God does, even if it would work to their advantage to say, see what God did to us. They're not going to even want you to know, right? They want to have these reasons in place prior to events occurring, just like climate change or global warming. Okay? That's not actually what's happening. We're at the end of an age. And we are under judgment, right? And now the Bible says it's Uriel's discs of fire that set things to fire, to flame, the trees and whatnot. I find that very interesting when they try to blame dews for like the fires in California. We're told that it's Uriel, the angel, in the end times. That's why I say the sun, moon, stars follow one everywhere they go. Personal Lord, the Savior. It's literal. Yes, yes. And again, the Bible is an astronomy/astrology book. We're not meant to be blind or ignorant about these things. We've been told they're wicked. And now you can't, only certain things can be read in the stars, right? And I've told you yesterday the coinciding of the stars and the Greek gods, right? And how the constellations are named after them. Everyone, I believe, has their own star. Everything that happens in the sky happens down here, as above, so below. We are a reflection of there. And so when there's a war in the heavens, mankind down here faces a lot of spiritual war. And we call it spiritual. Basically, it's invisible. But spirit does not mean that it cannot harm you. And that's a distinction that needs to be made because people don't make that distinction. What we could have is crowds here that we're not used to, okay? The roads they're getting into. EMA also warning that cell phone signal could be lost due to the increase in cell phone activity in the area overloading the system. It is warning residents that in the weekend ahead of the collapse, they should fill their vehicles with gas, stock up on food, and avoid other travel where possible. More importantly, you should look up and enjoy the eclipse. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not. Now, this happened yesterday, I believe. I'm sorry for all the ads. It's kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. This is how I have to do things for now. Block, man. Don't do this to me. I said block. Oh, it's because I'm on a live, isn't it? Columbus, Ohio, a total solar eclipse will bring a once-in-a-lifetime event. Mike DeWine signed an executive order to ensure the state is prepared for the celestial event. But what is that executive order? The safety and well-being of Ohioans is always at the forefront of everything we do. We have been preparing for the April 8th eclipse for several years. Now think about that. And think about the term corona. Okay? Let's be very clear about all these alleged coincidences between the Revelation, the Hopi prophecy, even the Essene Gospel of Peace, the Quran, even. And I know people say that it's wicked. I've read some of it, not all of it. It has a lot in common with the Bible, but the language, the translation is not as, I'm not going to lie, it's not as beautiful. And some of it, there's a little too much stress and talking, verbalization about the human body and things that like you should do, shouldn't do. And it's kind of, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, these people talking about this can't possibly be human beings who deal with bodies and have bodies, because basically they end up making me feel like my body is disgusting. And we're not supposed to go so Gnostic to that end. We're not supposed to go to that extreme, but we are supposed to know that we are capable of doing wrong, right? We are capable of erring. We make mistakes. The point is to learn from them and not keep repeating them. And mankind keeps repeating the same mistakes, and now we are here. Okay, so the Ohio State Patrol will be adding visibility ahead of the event to help drivers leading up to the eclipse. Now, the executive order that he signed. I want to see exactly like what it says, but they're not, I couldn't find it yesterday, which usually. It's 2024-04D. And again, I like to show people the processes, so I apologize to those of you who know how to use a computer or an app. And also, apps are different on every device, every single one. Can you just tell us what it says? I just want to know what it says. I want to know what the executive order says. Can I just pull that up? Like .gov. Where's the .gov? See how they are? That should be the first thing. Would be the Ohio govdelivery.com. I don't know. Let's see. That's going to make me download something. How silly. Oh, just give it to me. Oh, darn it. And I got rid of the one that was up for the Hopi. I'll go back to it. Whereas it is expected the state of Ohio will see an influx of out-of-state tourists coming to witness this event, whereas the state of Ohio intends to provide its residents and out-of-state tourists with a safe, enjoyable viewing experience. In preparation for the eclipse, the MA has been coordinating with state, local, and private partners to prepare for increased demands on gas, food, shelter, traffic, and cell phone service. In accordance with its vision and purpose, the Highway Patrol is prepared to utilize its resources to provide traffic safety services on Ohio's highways, offer statewide emergency response services, and support local law enforcement. Whereas, blah, 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 fully staffed and deployed emergency and communication staff at Ohio EMA. What does that mean? Deployed emergency and communication staff at Ohio EMA. Huh. Eclipses, and special glasses. Oh, has provided optimal viewing experience at state parks and wildlife areas within the path to educate people. I would love to go camping that week though. I would love to be camping with Sammy when that happens. That's like that's what I'd like to do. If you want to help, I can give you his PayPal again, but I took it off the account because of how people behave. I was asked to put it up and then everybody ridicules you. So you can't make people happy. All state departments and agencies be at the ready and prepared to utilize their personnel and resources April 5th through April 9th, as set forth in Section 550. Oh, look at that. Look at that. 222. 222. Shall coordinate all. The executive director of the Ohio Emergency Management Agency shall coordinate all activities for preparedness. I want to know who that is. I'm going to look that up when I'm done showing you guys the Hopi prophecy. Services may suspend purchase. Okay, the Department of Administrative Services may suspend the purchasing and contracting requirements in accordance with personnel and welfare. What? Purchasing of what? May suspend the purchasing and contracting requirements. Oh. Does that mean like martial law? Like they won't have any rules or guidelines to follow? I don't know. I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. Okay, so this is the actual thing. Frank LaRose, Secretary of State. All right, guys, I don't really like that, but... All right, we're going to get out of here, and now I gotta look up the Hopi prophecy on my phone. Hold, please. It's depressing. You get a bunch of people, then you get a bunch of people that don't care. Where are we at? I don't know what to do, guys. I'm sorry people aren't interested, but those who are, maybe want to hear these things. So this is the Hopi prophecy, and it's hard to find in full unless you watch the videos, which I'll try to provide a link for below. Oh, I have one more thing that I pulled up. Hold on. If I can find it. It was like Ancient Origins. Where did it go? We like that site. We use it all the time on this channel. There it is. Okay, let's do this guy first, because... There we go. Okay, so the Hopi prophecy and the end of the fourth world, part 1. So they are saying we are in the fourth world, the fourth age. More than any other tribe in North America, the Hopi Indians, who I believe North American Indians are very possibly one of the lost tribes in the Bible. The Hopi Indians have developed according to the dictates and demands of what may be called a legacy of prophecy. The predictions of the life to come do not merely pertain to the Hopi, but deal with impending events on a global scale. Prophecies began to be made public shortly before the mid-20th century. The Hopi are an aggregation of clans that came together at the center point in northern Arizona during the course of their migrations. Because they are not a monolithic tribe, the sources of their prophecies are fragmentary and multifarious. Part of the lack of narrative clarity also has to do with the secretive nature of the Hopi, which is understandable. Okay, so Stonehenge, we got some different things there that you guys can take a look at if you're interested. And yes, it is understandable that they're very private considering what happened to them. So their cycles of time, like the Maya, among whom the Hopi once lived and with whom they later traded, the Hopi conceptualize the cycles of time as world ages. The Hopi believe that we have suffered 3 previous world cataclysms. The first world was destroyed by fire, a comet, asteroid strike, or a number of volcanic eruptions. Again, I'm not saying if I agree, disagree. I'm not talking about the shape of the earth. I'm just saying something seems to be coming. It's on a lot of our hearts. It's in our subconscious. They've been warning us through movies or whatever. And whatever it is, they're not going to say it's God. They're not going to say that it's judgment on man. But all you got to do is look to Pompeii, what happened at Pompeii and Sodom and Babylon, and you begin to see the pattern that human behavior has a lot to do with these cycles, I believe, right? If we consider that it's judgment, part judgment at least. And some people don't believe that. Some people believe it's entirely cyclical. Why not both? Why not both? Thank you for being here. Hopi cycles of time. So, oh, there it is. The second world was destroyed by ice, a great ice age. As recorded by many cultures around the globe, a tremendous deluge destroyed the third world. Water. These three global destructions were not the result of merely random Earth changes, but of mankind's disregard for both Mother Earth and for the spiritual dictates of the Creator. Now, if you're a Christian watching this, I know what you're going to say. Earth worship, all this stuff. I'm not going to agree, disagree. I'm just going to say we are supposed to take care of the earth. It is our home. Okay? And it is alive. It is a living being. It nourishes all of the plants which give us air. This is definitely a symbiotic system. We cannot live without the plants. They cannot live without us. Okay? The animals could probably, well, I mean, if they had animals, they could still get, So, it's a matter of perspective at this point. I'm just trying to say that we are all mankind. We have a lot in common. We have a common enemy, which is wickedness and darkness, and ignorance is an enemy. It is not knowing, right? And somebody said education is a negative thing. If you should educate yourself. Once you get out of school, pick what you're interested in and start digging through that topic first. And you'll see that they can't possibly, number one, go over everything there is to learn in school, right? There's just no way to do that. Even if they weren't just indoctrination centers, which they are at this point, okay? There's nothing wrong with education and knowledge. It is what the person does with it that has repercussions and consequences. I'm trying desperately to touch people here, and it is very difficult, I won't lie. Some of the things I've told you guys about my testimony should have shocked and disgusted people, and it did not. That is concerning for the state of mind of us as a society as a whole. And it is concerning that it seems only people who don't like the channel watch it. There's no need for that. I am trying to reach people, and I don't care if you make fun of me for that. I don't care if you laugh at me for that. It does not matter to me. Look at what Christ went through. Look what we did to God, the heart of God that came down here to show us how to walk this out. And to show, hey, I'm going to walk this out with you, beside you, so you know that I have been here and I do understand. Unlike the Maya, the Hopi are rarely specific about the dates. It has been said that the Maya were masters of time, whereas the Hopi are masters of space. The verb tenses here are deliberate, given the Maya no longer follow the long count calendar. Instead, they now use Tzolk'in calendar of 260 days, an amazingly complex system nonetheless. So we're just going to get into it. Are we reaching the end of the fourth world? The Hopi continue to perform a series of annual sacred rituals within their ceremonial cycle in order to keep not just themselves, but rather the whole world in balance. Look, masks. What the Hopi here remind me of a lot of the little dancing character in I Pet Goat 2, and we have talked about that. I had a really good friend that I talked with back and forth on the channel who was always very interested. But then she started repeating the same thing over and over. And I'm like, we've talked about this. I gave you the video link and I did a video on it. So I don't know if they're like replacing people who watch the account with like bots or something. But, things are just, it is frustrating and it is disconcerting. But know that I love you and I pray for you guys. And I hope that there's somebody out there who's praying for me and Samson and my family, of course. But anyways, as time goes by, this task is increasingly difficult because of our temporary lifestyle with its technological gadgetry and unseemly allurements, like TikTok, or, what's the other one? OnlyFans, right? Every girl that has done things like that ends up a couple years later coming on the internet and saying, don't do what I did. I am one of those girls. I was not on OnlyFans, right? I didn't do that. But I was selling makeup, selling clothes, wearing skimpy clothes online with the permission of my husband. The goal here is to corrupt people, and it's not satanic panic. It is everywhere. It is in our institutions. It is in the government. There are less true Christ followers than there are of them. We need to be as shiny as possible because our families are caught up in this. Our loved ones are caught up in this. You, some of you, are caught up in this. And you're only listening to make fun of me. You're only listening to later gaslight me down the road somewhere. And I forgive you now. And I forgive you for the things you've done, the abomination you did to me in my own dwelling place. I don't know why people aren't. I don't know. I don't understand anything anymore in this society. I don't understand why everybody flocks to certain channels because they have sponsors, because they're big, because they expose, because they gossip. Why? Why? Why does that make you feel better about your life? I genuinely want to know at this point why we are doing the things we're doing because I don't understand them anymore. Not at all. Why in the comment sections is everybody just ridiculing other people and pointing fingers? Why? Why is everybody self-righteous? Where's the humility? Where's the contriteness? Where's the regret for the things we've done wrong and learning from them and doing better? And I know this video won't get a lot of views. That's fine. It is what it is at this point. Those who need to see will. And you know, again, you're going to wish you listened to people like me very soon. Those that do stay on the reservation are confronted with intra-tribal squabbles and much worse, with high rates of alcoholism and increasingly available lethal street drugs. The dire signs of a Native American version of the end times are everywhere. Many Hopi spiritual leaders claim that we are living in the final days of the fourth world for more than 60 years, which is the same as Daniel's prophecy. Everybody figured out that it's about 70 years. That's the point we are at right now if you count back from Israel becoming a nation, I believe. For more than 60 years, different Hopis have predicted various earth changes that signal the conclusion of the current age and the onset of the fifth world. In 1970, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher that, Kachongva, Sun Clan leader from the village of Haute-Villa, who died at the age of 112, spoke about deteriorating conditions of our time. Oh, come on, don't do that. No, I just want the ads to go away, man. Stop it. I'm sorry. We have teachings and prophecies informing us that we must be alert for the signs and omens which will come about to give us courage and strength to stand on our beliefs. Blood will flow. Our hair and our clothing will be scattered upon the earth. Nature will speak to us with its mighty breath of wind. And remember, there's a principality and a power behind each and every one of these earth phenomenon, like wind, air, right? The prince of the air, okay? There is an angel, whether they are fallen or not, who is in charge of these things. And if they're fallen, you know, then things get a little chaotic in that area. There will be earthquakes and floods causing great disasters, changes in the seasons and in the weather, disappearances of wildlife, and famine in different forms. There will be gradual corruption and confusion among the leaders and the people all over the world, and wars will come about like powerful winds. All of this has been planned from the beginning of creation. And again, I don't know how much I believe as far as predestination goes. Can we change things that are in the Bible? I don't want to get into that. I don't want to, Jonah changed Nineveh. God repented. God changed his mind. It says right in Nineveh, God repented. Okay, so he changed his mind because Nineveh repented, because they took the warning seriously. They took it seriously. And that's our problem, is the apathy. Nobody cares about anything. All anyone cares about is being right. Even in the comments, somebody wants to argue with me about what this video is about. Like, Come on, man. And I'm not going to allow New Age confusion and the double entendres with the wordplay. If you haven't seen the video on wordplay and word spells, you should definitely go back and check that out. It's not too far back. The two life paths. Now, this is the most important part. This is the root of the issue, okay? So if you listen to no other part than this, what is the time on this? 50:23. Let me write that down, or if somebody wants to put it in the comments, if anyone's here. Oh my God. Sorry. 50:23. I don't have a studio. Don't have a mic. Don't have any of those things. And I'm good with it. 50:23 timestamp. Okay, so this is the crux of the issue. This is the choice. Everybody has a choice. Remember, you have free will. Another spiritual elder from the same third Mesa village, David Manonge, may have lived even longer than Grandfather Dan had warned. When earthquakes, floods, hailstorms, drought, and famine will be the life of every day, the time will have then come for either the return to the true path or going the zigzag way. The zigzag way refers to a line found on Prophecy Rock, a panel of ancestral Hopi petroglyphs, rock carvings, in northern Arizona. The zigzag is the upper of two parallel lines. It supposedly represents the path of the two hearts, who are wreaking havoc on our Earth Mother and living contrary, against natural law, to ecological principles and the laws of nature. What's one of the biggest laws of nature? If you look at nature, what do you see first? And again, please consider giving the video a thumbs up, not for monetization purposes. Okay? Just to let me know you understand the connections I'm trying to make here for people. And if not, I'll change how I'm delivering the messages. Okay? What is the one thing you see if you look to nature? A family. You see a mother, you see a father, and you see offspring. Everything about that is being destroyed right now. Everything about that is being inverted right now. You cannot go against nature and not expect for there to be consequences. Just like adding things to the water. Just like the oil that's been dumped in the oceans. Just like Fukushima in Japan. How long do you think these things are going to go on without affecting every living being on the earth? Fukushima happened in 2011. Nobody talks about it. Either Japan is going through some serious radiation issues, and so is California, or radiation isn't a thing, and I believe it is, because I believe that's what's in the Ark of the Covenant. I believe radiation is the name for God's holy light. And if we can't withstand that light, then the zigzag is the upper two parallel lines. It supposedly represents the path of the two hearts, who are wreaking havoc on our Earth Mother and living contrary to ecological principles and the laws of nature. This is talked about in Scripture in different ways. This is spoken of in the Sumerian tablets. This is spoken of not Anunnaki, but the Anu, I forget. Anyways, everywhere, okay? In the Quran, in every holy book. Every holy book. And in every holy book, there was a flood, there was a deluge. All right? These things are true. The lower line, on the other hand, is the path of the one hearts. Okay? So the two hearts, it supposedly represents the path of the two hearts. Why two hearts? Why do those people who choose that upper path have two hearts? What does the Bible say? A man who is double-minded is, unstable in all of his ways. Double-minded, right? Unless it's literal, which I don't think it is. Unless it means aliens or something like that. The lower line, on the other hand, is the path of the one hearts who are close to soil and the growth of corn, beans, squash. That is adhering to the true Hopi way. Farmers, the Amish, people who don't spend their days on electronic devices, people who know how to grow food, people who know how to fish for their food, people who know how to hunt, which again, I'm not going to get into the moral implications of that at this point, but that's affecting this as well, how we treat the animals. And I don't care if you say they're not like us, they don't have souls, who cares, blah, 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 blah. There's a way to do things. God never said to torture animals. Like it just wasn't said. We're supposed to be tenders here. And when you're fitting your role, when you're in that role that you were created for, that's when you experience the most joy, because that's literally what you were made for, right? So that's where you find your joy, man. The upper path is divorced from the natural, and here's an image of what they're explaining. Why they didn't just take a picture of the actual Hopi rock and show it, I'm not sure. That bothers me a little bit, but I have seen it before. The upper path is divorced from the natural world and totally immersed in the synthetic, manufactured reality of iPhones and Xbox 360s. In essence, it is a lifestyle that the Hopi call, it's not sustainable, guys. It's not, you should be seeing that now at this point yourselves. Even the young people should be seeing it's not sustainable. It's just not. To be consistent consumers and to consume everything from your own area and then to start importing from other places, we don't produce very little here anymore. Which is funny. I was in a plastic plant once and I was working on Rubbermaid trash cans. And when I put the sticker on it, it said made in China. And I'm like, but I'm not in China. I don't think. Who knows at this point? So, the lower way, rooted in earth-based rhythms, finds solace and spiritual sustenance from corn pollen, sunlight, soaking rains, and vast desert vistas. Oh my God, that sounds like heaven to me. A life in accordance with the Creator or the Great Spirit. This large sandstone panel facing due east was incised in ancient times with various arcane symbols. The petroglyphs were carved on the vertical surface of the boulder. What follows are merely possible interpretations. They are by no means an official Hopi reading of the symbology, nor are they sanctioned by the Hopi themselves. The figure at the lower left is Masel, the Hopi god of death, fire, and the earthly plane. He carries a bow with his arrow pointing to the underworld. His left hand holds the path to the current fourth world. The circle to the right represents the earth or rim of the horizon. The Christian cross signifies the Spanish Catholic incursion of Hopi land. The square represents a village, pueblo, plaza, or the Hopi territory. Full stop. Yes, there were holy wars before. None of us were a part of them. And I don't personally believe in them at this time. I think we should be evolved spiritually enough that we're not baboons and we're not barbarians and we're not behaving like beasts. But here we are. Do I agree with that interpretation? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It looks to me like he's trying to hold up both of those paths, and it's not sustainable. Yeah, I'd have to see the real thing. I don't like when, you should interpret things on your own. Now, here are the videos, okay? This man, and another one, I think, another gentleman, speak to these prophecies. There's the rock right there. Okay, they just drew over it so you could see it better. The two paralines positioned obliquely refer to the two paths of humankind may take at the end of the current fourth world. As previously mentioned, the upper line is the path of the two hearts. On this line are four figures within joined hands. The last figure appearing to have two heads, two hearts. He's of two minds, right? This line ends in a zigzag up in the air. The lower line is the path of the one hearts. Resting on this line from left to right are three circles which represent three world shakings or three world wars. To the right of the last circle are a corn stalk and a Hopi man tending corn. This line extends to the right across another section of the rock, whereas the upper line is not extended. Okay, so what are they saying? This lower line represented everlasting life and the rising sun. See how similar that is to Catholic and Christian theology, though? We are all not that different. We have more things in common than we have different, and we're about to need each other again. That's the one good thing about tragedy is when tragedy strikes, most people come together. Most. And I've seen it. There was a lot of that in the 80s. My own dad went and helped with hurricane relief and stuff. I think with Hurricane Andrew. We've seen people come together and be good. Signs that the fourth world is winding down. They involve an increasingly erratic climate, A few specific signals or signs of social and political imbalance. Earth changes include earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes, record flooding, wildfires, droughts, and famines, which we are seeing across the board, allegedly, on the screen. Okay? Me, anyways, and I pray for people every day, so please don't think. And I fast, but I don't want to be a glutton in times of, people are suffering. We should suffer with them. I'm not trying to be funny. Like, I'm not trying to, be self-loathing or self-righteous. I'm saying if our fellow man is suffering, we should be suffering with them, at least in communion with them with our hearts and praying for them. Like, that's just what we should do, right? Okay, so the Hopi also predicted a number of technological changes. The elders said a gourd of ashes would fall on the earth. This refers to, of course, nuclear explosions, a gourd of ashes. I don't know if I agree with that. I honestly can't see a world war where they would want to ruin the resources, the land. Most people want American land. It's very bountiful, right? It's very, very plentiful. It has good soil. So I can't picture them doing that. Again, I credit it all to the Most High, however things roll out. First, the atomic test blast at Trinity site in New Mexico. That's pretty funny. They did it at a place called Trinity. The dual Holocaust at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And finally, the other hydrogen bomb test. The Hiroshima thing's weird. I watched some interviews with the girl who they showed running naked. The photographer captured that. I just want to know, why is there always somebody around with a camera? If these are true world events that are occurring all over, why do they know ahead of time? Are they just following random people around with cameras? Because they are journalists. They are actual people who've worked for like National Geographic and Life and Time. So what are they doing in these areas when these things take place? I don't understand the need, like the picture taking. I mean, for documentation purposes, yeah. Okay. Start thinking, start asking questions. In movies, you've seen how movies are made. There's no way sometimes they get those giant clunky cameras to do certain things. And there's no way it's even a drone getting that close with no sound. There are things we don't understand happening. And remember, this all this technology came from the Most High first. Alchemy, all that stuff. Okay, so it's Satan. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's God's judgment, right? And his angels, his army carries out his commands, basically. And that's the best analogy I can use, world to the world that, maybe we'll all understand, because faith is mystical. That's why it's faith. You're taking a blind leap in some areas because you don't know everything. So you are believing in something you cannot see. But we do that every day with electricity, right? You don't know how it works. You just know that when you turn on the light, it works. Most of us don't know, right? I mean, we know basics. There's circuits and all that type of stuff, right? You can't see the wind, but when there's a tornado, you know the wind did it. You know it's there. You can't see quantum mechanics, really, but you know something's happening when you see the molecules and atoms shaking about and bouncing off each other and neutrons, right? There are a lot of things that we cannot see that we believe in. So again, please refrain from calling people that believe in God stupid or crazy. I don't think it's going to go well for you in these coming days. Even if you think you're in somebody's pocket or whatever. Jesus will tell most that he doesn't know him. I think because one's intelligence is artificial. Yeah, intelligence is like, that word itself is deceptive. I agree with you. I have found like every day I ask for wisdom because I've always been smart. I've always been book smart. I can memorize most things. But that's not life, right? That doesn't have a lot to do with spirit in life. And so these skills that I already have, I ask God to make them spiritual, make them godly, make them good. Let me do good things, But yeah, I would agree with you that term itself is a little off. What I find funny is I've said so many things that are in the Bible before I ever even knew that they were in there. From Christ. I've told several people, you've never known me. You never knew who I was. Never. Isn't that strange how that goes with people? I hope Christ doesn't say that to most people. Like, I hope not. I pray that's not the case. Jesus is the living image of God. Jesus is the living image of God. I agree with that. Okay, so now that we read the other thing, we don't really have to go through this now or today. Oh, well. This is an edited version of a prophecy downloaded from, and when I go to bcca.org, it's like a IT site. So I don't know, maybe that's an error. So this is a North American Indian prophecies talk given by Lee Brown in 1986 at the Continental Indigenous Council, Tanana Valley Fairgrounds in Fairbanks, Alaska. There was the cycle of the mineral, the rock. There was the cycle of the plant. And now we are in the cycle of the animals, coming to the end of that and the beginning of the cycle of the human being. No one is stupid. Well, we do foolish things. We have done foolish things, right? So again, intelligence is not the same as wisdom or knowledge even, right? Gnosis, knowing a thing. I know God and I know God exists, and sadly I know Satan exists too, because he talks to me through people all the time. I don't know why he hates me so bad, but there it is. Legion, whatever it is, the same thing all the time from a variety of different people. And now I pray before I leave the house that everyone I interact with is touched by the Holy Spirit. They will be released from that light or soul that we carry to the mind. But right now we're coming to the end of the animal cycle, and we have investigated ourselves and learned what it is to be like an animal on this earth. So they're saying that it is a new age for the human that is coming as well. I would agree with that. I would. I believe in spiritual evolution, ascension, and transmutation. These are all legitimate processes that most non-English folks don't know English even though they speak it. I think most people know this. I don't know what that means. Yes, a lot of people, it's weird. Everybody all over speaks English, but here in America, it's hard to find people that are truly bilingual, like that are very fluent in more than one language. Like I know some Latin, I remember some French, and I can carry on a basic conversation. But I would really have to do some refresher courses, which is why I have a Latin book. I have a Hebrew school book actually that I found at the consignment shop. I have an Arab one. And Allah does mean God. For everybody saying it's Satan, Allah does mean God. Let's be very careful of not offending the Holy Spirit, okay? Because when you attribute something to Satan and it's really God's, it has a Holy Spirit of God in it. That is offensive to the Holy Spirit. It's what the Pharisees did to Christ when they accused him of delivering people by Baal. Why would the devil do that? Why would the devil deliver people of his demons? He doesn't, that would work against his kingdom, and that's why Christ said, a kingdom that is not united shall fall. And that's kind of why the kingdom of darkness is winning right now, is because they're just a little more united than we are. Okay, so I think I'm going to end that here for now. If we want to look at this whole thing, we can. I'm also going to do something on the Sermon on the Mount, but that's going to be uploaded to the other channel. The next couple of days, if it's nice, I will be using the camcorder and posting those types of videos. And I will get into more into like the little experiments I've been playing, and a little more about dreams. Because I think I did actually film myself. I'm sorry, I'm just like flipping. I apologize. I did film myself dreaming, okay? Or sleeping. And I have to be really honest with you guys. It's weird. I don't like it. It's very possible that that's why certain people had certain things happen to them because they were being filmed. I think it is some kind of gateway, depending on how it's used. Because these things, right? Satan and Lucifer is the prince of the air. The airwaves, they come into these devices. And so I think we have to be very careful with certain things. I actually felt the hair standing up on the back of my neck. So I turned it off because it got really weird. But I wanted to tell you that. So if you see uploads and you're interested, it'll just be walk and talks, different types of topics. I'll throw them into the heading, of what the topic is. But it's a nice walk to the lake, and it's a really nice trail, and I haven't even been all the way through it and come around the other way. And so I want to do that, obviously. So yeah, that's what's going on. And for an upcoming topic, this is going to be weird, but I'm going to try and do it tomorrow because it'll be super fun. We're going to do the Jim Carrey and the Ed Harris phenomenon. I think we'll start with Ed Harris just because he's not as popular. Let me write that down so I don't forget. And I also have a book that I would like to read from. I'm going to post the cover and a preview of it and see if you're interested. Don't judge a book by its cover. Basically, what it does is it brings a lot of different people's experiences together, about UFO experiences, encounters with these other beings, and it shows you them together and how similar they are, like how similar demons are to jinns. They're the same thing, right? It talks about skinwalkers and shape-shifting and the abilities of the angels and the technology. So it's all kind of in one place, with people's real life current, like from our generation, from this time. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Watch the community tab. I will post a preview of it. And, if you like it, if you're interested in that, please click like. I know that's hard for people. It seems like you're asking them for their blood to like a video. Truly, I have no devious plans for you. But yeah, I'd like to read a bit of that. And I am going to be doing Sermon on the Mount. And I think I'm going to do a 7 rosaries and maybe a Latin rosary if I have the patience for it. I'll do that on the other channel. That way, things are kept separated, and those who are interested can head over there and check it out if they'd like. Okay? I do love you guys. Please have a blessed day. Please do something for somebody else, no matter what it is. Something small. It doesn't have to cost you a thing. Write a little note. Stick it in the Dollar General on a shelf. Just say, hey, you are loved. Paint a rock. Put a psalm on it, or a song, or a verse. Okay? I know you guys are good at that stuff. I love you. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.